How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. It is time for yet another edition of Movie Buffed. Today, we've got Deadpool 2. I'm joined once again by my comrade here, Mr. Dan Najarian.
Hi, comrade.
And we have none other than the illustrious Kevin, producer, holding down the fort here. It's just the three of us at the moment at the BTS office, but we are excited to bring to you this wonderful podcast.
It's
Wonderful
a podcast.
Podcast. I'm halfway through my Starbucks, but I need a lot more to make it through this show. All right, Dan, here we are.
Hi.
It's been a little bit. Our last Movie Buffed Chicago Rot special edition when we had Ryan on the show.
Yeah, indie edition. Let's get back to the mainstream, huh?
Now we're back to the super mainstream here. We were blessed with a great opportunity to be able to scope out Deadpool 2. We've known this for a little while now. Monster is a partner with the movie. What exactly is there? Are they a sponsor? Are they a partner? Did they just shove money towards this movie? They're a part of it, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had this collab. It basically, I see it more of as like a collaboration. So they did these drinks here, these new mutant monsters, which they have in 3 flavors. So I guess, you know, if you're from the movie perspective, it's like they paid the money to do this cool collaboration, and it helped fund the movie, and it also helped make some cool merch. But what it did for us is gave us the opportunity to actually get involved in some way and go see the premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was like a Coca-Cola Monster premiere party and at the Chinese Theater in LA. And Monster hooked it up. They brought me and you out. And
I've never been to a movie premiere for anything.
No, of course not. I mean, why would...
So I don't know what to expect.
I went to like a mini screening for Rot.
Yeah.
You know? And I've done some like in Chicago, there's a website called Ain't It Cool News, who if you're like a movie nerd, you probably have gone to that site. It's like a geek movie leak site, right?
Okay.
And there's one writer in Chicago named Capone, very famous like movie reviewer from Ain't It Cool News, and he used to host like screenings basically like this, where it would be you could see a movie early, like a week early, and they would usually be put with a Q&A. So that was like the really cool part is like a lot of times there'd be actors and there would be directors or producers or people who you'd go to the movie, be a super small theater, and you could get in. So that's my only real experience with that. But it was not like this was like kind of like glitzy.
Yeah, it was a little glitzy. There was a red carpet.
There was a red carpet.
I didn't see any of the Deadpool stars or anything like that, though.
It was mostly filled with esports people, video game people. So yeah, so there's look at that. There's the red carpet. There's some monster girls back there. It was pretty cool just to be at the Chinese Theater. If you don't know what the Chinese Theater is, it's a super famous old Hollywood venue. And
that's where they put the hands in the
concrete.
concrete.
That whole neighborhood is like
write
all the
their
crazy
name and all the
shit's
fancy
happening.
Hollywood shit.
And the theater itself was gorgeous. Outside looked amazing, and at night it was like projection mapped and stuff, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And the inside was like, it just felt like very much like a theater.
Very old school.
Very old school. Red
Vintage.
velvet seats.
Yeah.
You know, like raised seating. Yeah, so here's like the inside, you know, and there's the classic Reese's and popcorn. You know what's maybe the coolest part? We had free concessions.
Yeah.
Free candy, free popcorn, free drinks. You could just go up and grab as much as you want. It's hilarious because there was a bar too. So it was like an open bar. We get there, the line for the open bar is just gigantic. It's like down the block.
Way too big.
You know? But the line for concessions, nobody was there. So
Yeah.
we just all were like, all right, let's go get candy. And we just like sat at concessions for the entire time hanging out with one of our good friends, a friend of the show as well. JMR Luna was also there.
Yep.
And Gorman and his wife, Ken Chen, joined us as well. We saw some other esports people. Let's see, Charlie was there. Kelby May was there. Who were Gold Glove and who was the other gentleman?
There's Gold Glove. There was
Jericho.
his lady, Femsteph, and then Jericho.
Oh, Femsteph. Oh, okay. I didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
We saw Nyjah, the skateboarder. So in the other half, so it was like all video game people. And then Will was there as well. Will was there.
Yep.
So it's all video game people.
And then monster athletes.
And then monster
bro.
athletes. So it's like skateboarders, like Nyjah, and like a bunch of other like I don't know, weird like LA based.
I think it was like the perfect mix for the movie
good.
though, because it's athletic, nerdy, gaming culture. I think everyone's kind of in tune with Deadpool in a way for that. So it's pretty good audience. I was surprised how comfortable the seating was considering how old the theater was.
Dude, we had amazing seats too.
So,
if you notice from my these posters are all funny. If you notice from my my Reese's popcorn pick, we were like dead center.
Yeah.
It was sick, and we were in, I thought, like a great position. So it's actually an IMAX theater. You can see it says TCL or whatever the T is, and then Chinese. I don't remember what the fuck it is, dude.
Chinese
theater,
L.
Chinese theater.
Yeah.
No, well, it's not. It's TCL Chinese theater IMAX. I don't remember what the first stuff is, but it's a gorgeous screen. It's a really well put together. They modernized that nicely.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how we got to there.
Yeah.
I mean, Monster hooked us up. We went to my first movie premiere ever. There was no dress code, thank goodness. You were ready to go in like a Deadpool suit.
I wanted to wear a suit and all this cool stuff, but I'm a bad, lazy person, and I didn't
Not
do
too many
anything.
people were very dressed
You look
up.
very handsome though, because you
Just
like
a button
never
up.
wear anything ever. You really don't. You literally are either in a suit at an event and looking gorgeous, or you are just in sweatpants and a t-shirt, still looking gorgeous, but you're just doing that. And you had a cool jacket, you had a nice button up, you had your nice jeggings on.
I don't know what to. The jeggings get me through the day. All right.
Yeah.
So it's called looking good while feeling comfortable, which is what I like.
that.
So
So then they gave us all these too. So then So they sent us to that, and they gave us a bunch of these to give away. So at the end, I feel like these are not lit nicely. At the end of the show, we are going to be giving away these to people who are in Twitch chat now.
Put a mutant in your mouth.
Are they in there? Can you show?
No, this one's empty.
This one's empty? Darn it. Okay,
This
so
one's
yeah,
empty.
there's 3 flavors in there. There's a red one, a white one, and a green one. I like the red
or a
one
blue
best.
one?
There's not a blue
red?
one.
Was it white?
It's red.
Red?
You-
It's definitely red. Definitely
Dakota
green.
is colorblind, so please do not trust
Definitely
him.
red. Definitely
It is
green.
white,
And definitely a third one.
white, green, and red.
They're all like Mountain Dew-esque, Gatorade-esque, delicious.
It's more like it's like a
beverages.
Monster Soda.
Monster soda.
It is. It's literally called Mutant Super Soda.
Also, the box comes with a $30 voucher, I believe, to see Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Some people, I've heard murmurs that you may possibly be able to use the voucher for other movies. We cannot guarantee that. I'm just going to say that it's likely for Deadpool 2 only, but you may be able to use it for other movies. So we're giving away 5 of these boxes, including the soda, including the cool-looking box. I mean, it's kind of a collectible in its own. If you're a big comic nerd, you can just have it up on your shelf. And then the $30 voucher. Stay tuned to the podcast. At the back end of it, we'll be giving away 5 of them to 5 people in the chat. U.S. only. I'm sorry to say it. All of our UK fans.
Get out of here, you
Europe
nerds.
fans, anyone from outside the U.S., we love you still. This contest in particular only applies to our U.S. audience. So we'll figure out that stuff by the end of the podcast. All right. So here we are. Deadpool 2.
What's up?
Now, before we hop into the trailers and such, there's some things to talk about at the beginning. They knew they were making this movie before Deadpool 1 wrapped.
Wait, is that true?
Yes.
Because Deadpool 1 was such a risky business adventure for them.
But not before it wrapped, before it released, sorry. So
Like
the
test.
sequel was announced 3 days before the release of Deadpool.
Ooh, that's some marketing, dude.
And I
That is some
remember
marketing.
watching an interview with Ryan Reynolds, and one of the questions he got, which I imagine is a very popular question when you're embarking on a sequel, is do you feel a lot of pressure after the success of the first movie? And Ryan had said that he didn't feel the pressure because they had already known they wanted to do the sequel, and they already kind of came up with a lot of the ideas while even doing Deadpool 1. So without even knowing if Deadpool 1 was going to be a success, they already had ideas in motion and ideas in mind for Deadpool 2.
Well, I imagine it was like a combination of Ryan Reynolds has been involved with the Deadpool project for so long that he's probably just been gears turning, thinking about this for a while, as well as test screens, I imagine, did very good for this movie. Mm-hmm. And then they're looking at it and they're like, we're going to do another one, and this is a great way to kind of promote that. But it's cool to see how involved he has been in this entire project.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of differences between Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. So I think they did a great job of transitioning from one movie to the next.
Yeah, they ramped up the promotion as well for this
Holy
movie. I mean,
shit.
show some of it here, but this is just like 2 of like 30 parody posters they did for the movie. Remember, they had the whole Deadpool Bob Ross thing?
Yep.
They had numerous trailers, which we'll check out 2 of them. And then it was everywhere. I mean, look at this. They have sodas and everything. Like it's just everywhere. They took the promotion. Like, do you think it was almost too much promotion for the movie? Or
okay, I actually did when it was coming at us like for the kind of like 2 weeks running up to the movie, I really was like, because I already didn't like the trailer, you know, so I was kind of negative about it, and then it was like everywhere I turned, every place on the internet I went to, everywhere I was doing, there was an ad for and some kind of tie-in. I go on Instagram, there's like some ad with some company being like, "Here's your Deadpool version." You go onto the YouTube, there's a Bob Ross promo in front of the thing. It's just like it was everywhere.
Yeah,
the marketing budget for this movie was huge, but obviously they did it smart as well because they got all these brands tied in, so the brands are paying for a lot of that marketing. But it was just like, it felt like so I feel like with Star Wars or like a huge movie franchise like that, you'll see something like this. But usually it isn't in the ramp up as much as right after release. They drop all their stuff and it's like boom, boom, boom. We like Star Wars too. We like, like all these huge. So to see Deadpool, which is a, relatively small franchise in comparison to Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, there's a Star Wars movie coming out next week or something. But I barely see any promotion for that.
Yeah, well, that's also very different because it's a standalone spin-off, not the like Rogue One and Solo are kind of like their own little minor adventures in the Star Wars universe. And then you don't know anything about Star Wars. I hate you.
Whatever.
Well, this guy's never seen a fucking Star Wars movie.
I've seen them. It's just I'm just not a nerd over it like a lot of people are, which I nerd over some things. It's okay to nerd over stuff. Star Wars didn't grab me like other things did.
To not not nerd over it and still like it.
I'm nerding over Marvel movies like nothing else, but Star Wars, I don't know, it just doesn't grab me.
Whatever. What do you think? I thought it was
a lot, but and I think they said this for their own defense, and I understand is the Infinity War's coming out around the same time, so you gotta prepare. Like everyone's focused on Thanos and fucking all the Avengers. Deadpool's like, I'm here too. I'm coming out next week, so please don't forget that.
Hello, don't forget. Which I believe, by the way, as a post-Avengers movie, it's actually amazing.
Yeah.
If you saw Avengers and you got a little bit of that superhero kind of like kicking through your blood and you're looking for a little bit more, man, Deadpool is like a really wonderful release after something that was like taking itself so seriously to something that is like
totally and it could definitely coexist. I mean, certainly for the fact that it's a movie that for now as it is taking place outside of the universe of where the Avengers are, and they just like ramp up a lot of things about the movie that you're not going to see in Avengers, the vulgarness, the funniness,
they
like
say dirty
all that
words.
stuff. Like if you just wanted a bit more of that from Avengers, like you're going to get it with Deadpool, which is really cool.
Yeah, dude. Wait, so now you know what's funny about the poster thing is that there was another movie we recently did, Ready Player One, where they did the same poster stuff, and everybody hated it. But I feel like people enjoyed these posters. How has that happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like Deadpool has this long history as a character where he's just a part of everything, and he's in everyone's universe and invades everywhere. So it's kind of like, oh, that's classic Deadpool, just be involved in everything. Whereas Ready Player One, it's like strictly promotional, and I don't know. It feels like for them, they're just, remember nostalgia? Remember all the old stuff? Come see our movie. Remember Back to the Future? Remember Jurassic Park? Come see our movie. This is just, I don't know. With Deadpool, it just feels like silly, and it's
pop culture and breaking the fourth wall and all these other universe invading, like you say, is part of his canon.
Yep.
Yep. But it's interesting you talk about the history of Deadpool, and I wanted to ask because we've talked about it a little bit, but your history with Deadpool. I have a pretty intense history with Deadpool, but what is your history with the character? Because when he first, one of the reasons nobody ever wanted to make the movie is because they felt like nobody likes Deadpool and nobody knows Deadpool. Were you a fan growing up?
I actually wasn't super invested into Deadpool. I mean, this is a character that I didn't own any of the comics for. I know he has like a wealth of series of comics for himself. He's involved. When I get down to the research and actually learn more about Deadpool, you see how much he actually does jump into everyone else's universe and is involved in so many people's storylines. But for myself growing up, I didn't really have a lot of involvement. He wasn't really in a lot of the fighting games I was playing, so I wasn't really extra curious about it. And then, when he does hit the cinema, it's a part of the X-Men movie Wolverine Origins, which is terrible. Which is terrible, and I didn't even know that much about Deadpool going into that, so I was just kind of like, this is a creepy character. But when you learn more about Deadpool, you can certainly see the outrage people would have over that movie, and you're just like, wait a minute, why would you seal up this guy's mouth? Why would you do all that?
The merc with the mouth has no mouth.
Like, then you really begin to realize how much of a clusterfuck they made with that movie and the character, and how much a disgrace it is, and why Ryan Reynolds desperately wants to go back and kill off that character and all this stuff. Because when you really learn about Deadpool and who he is just this crazy, unique character who just does. They wanted to do something different, and they did with Deadpool, like a sarcastic, fourth wall breaking storyteller. And I imagine it was just going to be such a hard character to bring to the screen in that way. And I wonder how successful it would have been if they didn't have Ryan Reynolds to really be like, this is my character, my story, this is where I want to go. Like, who else would they have gotten? Like, who else would have had that drive? I don't know if anyone else would have. This is a seriously complex character to be able to pull off.
So Ryan Reynolds has been in the talking of to be a part of this movie for like 15 years.
That's crazy.
Like, legitimately, I remember people whispering, and it's always been the only guy that can play this is Ryan Reynolds.
Well, what helped also, and what got Ryan super excited about it, is that in one of the comics, Deadpool referenced himself as a crossbreed between Ryan Reynolds and, I can't remember. The other thing was crazy, like a dead fetus or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it was some ridiculous comparison, but he acknowledged himself to be a cross of Ryan Reynolds, and of course, that got Ryan, I imagine, super excited and only confirmed his desires for the movie. Or he may have even had a tie-in with the guy who did Deadpool. Whatever the case may be, this was a long time in the making and just kind of fate to happen.
I mean, he was like, he had this amazing physique. You know, he's this gorgeous dude who's just like ripped.
Yeah.
And this is like, so remember Blade 2 had come out?
Yep.
And he was a star of Blade 2, so you know he could do action.
Yep.
You know he can do comedy.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy.
So you know he could do some comedy.
That's the really important core roles, right? A guy that can do action, do stunts, look fucking badass, but be really funny.
I think the funny is by far the biggest thing. Like, I think there's a lot of attractive action stars out there who could look like a Deadpool, but I think the biggest quality that everyone's going to be looking for is how funny he is, how witty he is.
Yeah, and he's always been. So what is your first experience with Ryan Reynolds? I remember my first when I ever remember seeing him is an old ABC show called, I should have fucking pulled up a picture, god damn it, because it's so funny. He looks hilarious. Two guys, a girl, in a pizza place. If there's any way, Kevin, if you could grab a picture of him from Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place.
That's an old-ass show.
It is
Jesus
him,
Christ.
some white guy, and some blonde girl who's an actress who you might recognize. And it was like a comedy on ABC, just like one of these things. But he was always really funny on it.
Oh, man. I got to look up his IMDb.
Then he starts getting kind of like more rom-com roles, and then he's in Blade 2 is where I think he really kind of shot out.
Blade 2, I was a big fan of the Blade series. I love Blade 1 a lot. And then, of course, I wanted to scope Blade 2, and I saw Ryan Reynolds in that. But I didn't really think too much of him at the time. It was just like, oh, this is a
okay, so yeah,
star.
There's some, he's pulled up some old Ryan Reynolds photos.
Oh, Jesus.
There's also, Kevin, there's like, those are from the later seasons. There's ones in the earlier seasons where he has long hair. I'm sorry to be annoying. I just want to, it's just, long-haired Ryan Reynolds is fucking hilarious. So, Deadpool for me, though, can I just describe how he's my, besides Avengers, he is my my largest comic collection at home.
All right.
And it happened because, so I was a big Kevin Smith fan growing up. Obviously, that's why I look the way I do.
Okay.
And Kevin Smith and the Askew universe had, through, I believe, Icon it was, or Ico, they had a huge comic line. They did Clerks comics, they did Jay and Silent Bob comics, and they had a couple others. They did, like, Chasing Amy comic stuff, shit like that. So I was reading those, and I'm reading Avengers, and my comic guy's like, you need to read Deadpool. Deadpool is like these two things mashed up. It's like fart, poop, silly, like dirty humor mixed with superheroes. You should be reading this. And at the time, oh my God, I cannot remember. The writer and artist combo at the time when I was reading it, which was the late 1990s, which is so funny to say out loud, was basically the best Deadpool incarnation, in my opinion, ever. And I was so lucky to have, like, pierced the universe when they were doing it.
Yeah.
And now I really do feel like a bastard for not remembering them. So that is how I got into Deadpool, and then I just became obsessed. I was so into it, and it's funny. So for years, the only Deadpool nice merchandise there was, like there were shirts and stuff like that, and there were some other things, but there was this one maquette. You know what like maquette is?
Maquette?
So a maquette is like basically a fancy way of saying a figurine.
Okay.
But this was a bust, which is just the shoulders up.
Oh.
And I asked that for my birthday because it was like $300. Now it's like way expensive because Deadpool is huge.
Yeah.
Then it was expensive because they did one limited run of it and it was the only thing.
Oh.
It was like $300. Now it's like way more. But I asked for it for like every Christmas, every birthday for like years. Never got it because nobody wants to spend $300 on me. But
sorry, Dan.
But I love Deadpool. It was just a character whose colors I love, red and black. He was funny.
It was ninja.
He was violent.
People
he was a
love
ninja
looking. Yeah.
you know, and he was saying dirty things all the time. Plus, it was just like, I don't know. Yeah, as a kid, I connected with that. But some of the things that I connected with as a kid are some of the things that worry me most about trying to make it into a movie. And especially when we saw that last trailer. And I feel like Deadpool 1 would dip its toes into this areas that I didn't like, where it was like, oh, yeah, like this, like you're, okay, it's like kind of cringy, and I don't want to use that word, but it's just like, it's so silly that I don't like it. It's so like 12-year-old fart humor in a way that's like kind of, I don't know, I'm disconnected from.
I imagine it's got to be so hard just to be incredibly witty and fourth wall breaking while keeping it topical and fresh, because, you know, movies take a long time to make, and you know, you crack one joke you think is funny, it comes out 6 months later, and suddenly it's not cool anymore, and all anyone can think about is how that last joke was cringy for the next, like, 10 minutes.
Dude, being funny is really hard.
It's hard.
Doing a comedy is really hard.
Yeah.
This movie is funny the entire time.
It is. And I imagine they did a lot of, like, what they did in Deadpool 1 that they were talking about is that they'll use a joke or something, and then they may think of something better later on and go back and just overdub it. Conveniently, he'll have a mask on a lot, so they can just overdub a new joke on top of another one. And I know in the first movie, some joke when he grabs the guy and like on the freeway and like shoves him against the wall and is like really getting his face, like they dubbed a new joke there or whatever. So I didn't watch Deadpool 1 until like the night before we went to watch Deadpool 2. So I had it fresh in my mind going in, and it was crazy to see how many nods he had to the first movie in the second one. So
well, you said they were so connected and they made it right after, so it was probably fresh in their mind.
Yeah. So it was great. We should get into the meat and bones, but before that, we'll talk about the trailer because I brought both of them. The one you were just talking about, the cringy one, the first one we all got to see really in the theaters way too many times.
Way too many times.
And made us a bit nervous to watch the movie. Let's start with that one first, Kevin, on our Deadpool 2 trailer. Oh, there we go.
I was born into war, bred into it. People think they understand pain, but they have no concept of it. What's the most pain you've ever felt? Maybe the kind that leaves you more machine than man.
Wait, no, stop! What in the actual ass? Dale, why are the visual effects not done? It's a metal arm. It's not like we're trying to remove a mustache. Ah, fuck it. I'll do it myself.
I'm Cable, and I'm from the future, and I like blowing shit up.
Pew, 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 pew. Reach for the sky!
Oh no, Sheriff Deadpool.
You know, you're a lot taller in the...
Shut up, you little asshole. Take this.
Oh! Regeneration powers, activate!
That's not something you say.
Zip it, Cable! I got the stones to help you.
No!
No biting. They're done already? Oh, wow, that was unrealistically fast. Okay, hit it.
Time's up, you dumb fuck.
Well, that's just lazy writing.
So that was the first trailer that we all witnessed in the theater. And really all you take away from that is that, okay, Cable's in it, which I'm super stoked about. They announced Cable as being a part of the second movie at the post-credit scene of the first movie, so it was something we were all expecting, and we got to see a little bit of it, and then they cut to that mid-scene, you know, typical Deadpool fourth wall breaking,
Yeah, very
shenanigans,
Deadpool.
but...
Wait, is this the second one?
No, this is not the second one.
Okay.
He's replaying the first one.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's just, you know, it was... You know, it's just kind of lame. I don't know how else to say it.
That gag with the like little toys and stuff like really works in. It's very Deadpool thing. Like it is a Deadpool thing, but it just doesn't work in this. And it was just. I just was. So
I mean, the first time
unhappy.
even you'd be like, okay, neat. But then once you see like a second or third time, you're just like, I don't
Even
know.
the first time, because I remember we were with Anthony Slime, and the first time we saw it, and we had talked earlier about how he didn't like Deadpool and he didn't like his humor, and then I was trying to sell him on it, and then this trailer came on, and it's like, this is, if you're trying to sell something on this movie, this is not what you want them to see.
Yeah.
You just don't want them to see this.
So it was we were a little nervous, but by the time Avengers Infinity War rolled around, they did have a new trailer rolling out. So we'll now air the second trailer. And this goes to part of the whole thing. Like, a trailer could really psych you up to see a movie or not.
Yeah.
You know, just like many trailers could just ruin a whole movie by giving a lot away. And some trailers could look so goddamn epic. You see the movie and it's an absolute disaster. It's crazy. So let's check out now the second trailer, which really changes things up.
We getting close.
You all know the drill. Intercept the convoy. Watch out for Cable. Hit it! There's this kid. He's in trouble.
Move or die.
Pump the hate brakes, Thanos. I ain't letting Cable get to him. But I can't do this alone. We need backup. We're gonna form a super duper fucking group.
It's time to get back on LinkedIn.
Meet Bedlam. My name's Shatterstar.
Domino, I'm Lucky.
Luck isn't a superpower. It's certainly not very cinematic.
Yes, it is.
Let's meet in the middle and say no, it isn't. Fuck it. It's showtime.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my peers, putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. Explosion, damage,
You're no fucking hero. You're just a clown. Dressed up as a sex toy.
So dark. You sure you're not from the DC universe?
Bring
it on, One-Eyed Willie.
Ooh! Yeah! Your bullets. They're really fast.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Peter. Any powers you want to tell us about?
I don't have one. I just saw the ad.
You're in.
Peter!
That trailer was so much better.
So much
better.
So much
Actually, I
better.
think they could even pulled back on a lot of the action stuff because they almost did too much to kind of give away all of the action in the movie.
Yeah, but they want you to know that this is.
There's action in it. Because the first one, it's like you see Cable's like opening scene where he punches some people and blocks some shots.
And you're like, I really hope that there's more of
you
that,
wouldn't
but
even
it
know
doesn't feel
Deadpool's
like
doing
it.
any action in it. Yeah, it's like, so this one they're like, okay, fucking throw in the action, throw in more action, and throwing more fucking action.
More
on top of that.
characters, too.
And then more characters. They show like the full team. So now you're like, sick.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see all these sick characters and definitely brought the hype.
Colossus is back. Negasonic, Teenage Warhead is back. You know, her girlfriend.
And then a bunch of new characters for the X-Force.
X-Force.
And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm seeing some characters. I'm like, Shatterstar? Are you serious? And then I always want to say Terry Evans, not Terry Evans, Terry Crews.
Terry Crews.
It's like, oh, Terry Crews is an action movie. Let's fucking go. So everybody's getting all excited.
Wait, should we I just want to say we're going spoiler zone. From now on, this is spoilers, spoilers, spoilers.
And
if you've not seen it, if you want to watch it, stop it right here. Get out. Go watch it. Because we're going to tell you everything that happens and all the funny surprises and things that'll kind of catch you off guard. So hurry up. Get out.
Or you just mute the stream, and if you want the giveaway, mute the stream, and when it comes to giveaway time, I'm going to throw the box up and down a lot. That's your
we'll
sign
shake the
to
box.
unmute, and we'll go back into giveaways. Anyways, spoilers moving forward. I'm excited to see the X-Force members, and then they all die right away in the movie. It's so ridiculous.
It's so good,
It makes it
dude.
more funny when you get to watch the trailer again and see how they're building up all these high characters, and then they just take them away from you.
Literally just die in like 1 second.
No.
It's like in Suicide Squad, how there's that one character in it, the Tomahawk, or I can't remember his name, the Native American guy, and he dies within like 10 seconds of the movie. But it's not. Instead, it's all the team dies within 10 seconds of them being out there, and only one survives, and that one is Domino. But in the death scene, which is just, it's so funny because you're halfway through, you realize, okay, they're all gonna die. They're all gonna die.
Huge scene. This is probably one of the biggest scenes in the movie, for
And
sure.
then there's a cameo that is unbelievable and had me just so shocked. And it's funny because, so one of the characters in the X-Force is invisible. His name is Vanish.
Yep.
And
The Vanisher.
Yeah, Vanisher. And when he dies, he's electrocuted. And when he's electrocuted, suddenly you see the person's face. And that person is somebody who was talked for a long time as being Cable. And that was Brad Pitt. Suddenly, Brad Pitt.
I got such a huge giggle when I saw him appear on the screen. That was the funniest thing ever. You wouldn't even know that was a character from the trailers or anything like that.
No, 'cause he's
It's
literally
just,
invisible
they
the
just,
entire
like,
time.
They just like throw him out in the movie, like, oh, he's the Vanisher, and you're just like, whatever. Just gonna be some one-off character. In my mind, I'm like, it's gonna be some character we lose track of, and then come the conclusion of the movie in some way, he'll show back up like he'd been there doing the right thing the whole time.
Yeah.
That's what I thought they were gonna do with it.
Because the gag they're playing the entire time he's on is that it's like he doesn't talk, he doesn't say anything. He's just like, oh, he's invisible, that's cool. And then like you see him in his like parachute pack, but just a parachute pack floating. Like, yeah, so I thought the same thing. Like he would disappear and then suddenly like save the day by like punching somebody, and like everybody forgot he was there.
Yeah.
Or like somebody would take a shit and they would sit on him. You know, something like, it would be like some stupid gag. But,
Yeah.
But what they ended up doing with Brad Pitt was super surprising.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I love when they're able to hide little Easter eggs like that. Let's just talk about the X-Force team.
Okay.
Since we're already like kind of in it. I know we're not going chronologically through the movie.
Who
I'm sure as we
cares?
jump about stuff, we'll talk about stuff that happened through the beginning. But let's just get to a point now when, because we've all seen enough trailers to know the base premise of the movie in some way, or at least where they are now is they're as a team. He forms a team. He's looking to form a team so that he could save this kid, and Cable's going after him or whatever. So here he assembles this team, and all of the characters they pull out for this team are just from so many different aspects of the comics. And then you bring them all together, and like I said, I didn't know who they were going to explore with a bit, what this means for future movies, and the characters they decided to hold on to. So I did a bit of research so I can get a bit of this information, so I'm kind of congealing it all together here, so bear with me. Zeitgeist, which was one of the characters, the Spitting Acid character, is a funny character. In a comic, there is a comic where he actually leads the X-Force. In one version of the X-Force, far in the future, he leads it. I guess he starts as a kid who's 14 years old. He's making out with a girl at the beach, and then he just vomits acid on her. Traumatic event.
Jesus Christ.
Flash forward to the future. He's the leader of the X-Force. This X-Force is very crazy, though. They're getting drunk. They're doing drugs all the time. And then to help get their team back on the map, they hire a terrorist group to go abduct this boy band. Then when the X-Force goes out to rescue them, they like end up dying. And Zeitgeist ends up getting cut up and killed on that in that thing.
Whoa.
Very dark X-Force kind of issue. And as it works out in the movie, he gets cut up through the grass machine or whatever.
Yeah, the like shredder, the like
so
tree
maybe a
shredder.
bit of a nod to his comic Falling Out, where he got cut up in the comics. He gets cut up in the
Nice
movie.
deep lore research there.
It wasn't just me. I again pulled this from other sources. I didn't know.
You know what I just realized in this, and I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay.
Is that Vanish is in this. Look, on the bottom
you're
left.
right,
He's
you're
there.
right.
And all the, like, how they
Zeitgeist is, I think that's
Zeitgeist is there right there. Star Scream or whatever the hell his name is there.
Shatterstar.
Shatterstar. So is Peter.
Yep.
And so is Terry Crews. So you see this poster and you think this movie is about all these characters, and it just isn't. It just isn't.
He says through the movie it's a family movie, right? Or a family
Right,
film.
yeah.
It's a family film.
It's a family film.
Just like he said the first one was a romance or it's a love story.
Yeah, it's a love story.
Something like that. It's funny. I like how he did that.
Give me more deep lore.
Okay.
Hit me with it. Hit me
Bedlam. Mr. Terry Crews. Jesse Aronson. Like he said in the movie, his character does influence electronics around him, like he has like an EMP effect, but also can influence your mind and your thoughts and like what you think about and stuff like that. I guess there's a comic where they like hypnotized LA and he had to use that power to be able to de-hypnotize them or whatever. So he's pretty powerful. And there was like a comic where he was a part of the X-Force, and then he leaves the X-Force because he finds his long-lost brother, who turns out to be evil, but he joins with his brother, and then he finds out that his brother actually killed his parents, so he's like, this guy's fucking bad, goes back to the X-Force to take him down. So Bedlam has a pretty crazy history, too, where his evil brother had killed his parents, and then he has to go fight him with the X-Force.
X-Force are wild asses. Dude.
They are, dude. That's
Yeah.
why it's not just the X-Men.
It's like what Suicide Squad wants to be. Is like wild, crazy superheroes.
Yep.
But also, by the way, Suicide Squad comics are legit. Just saying.
They are.
I have them.
I love
They're
the dark
legit.
stuff. I didn't go with Deadpool. I was like watching a lot and reading a bit of Spawn.
Oh, yeah,
So
dude.
some of those dark
McFarlane.
comics. Mm.
I was all about Dark Horse Comics, Hellboy, Spawn.
Yeah.
McFarlane was a god.
Vanisher, as we just talked about, Brad Pitt in the movie. He's actually one of the most OG villains in comics. Like
he's a villain?
X-Men 2.
He's a villain.
The Vanisher, and he's like some old-ass looking guy with little bandit eyes, and he just could vanish and rob banks and get government secrets and stuff like that. So he was like first he started as like one of the most original villains in like comics.
That's so
almost.
random.
And then later on, they do bring him back in X Factor, and he's still like 30 years later, still being an evil asshole. The X Force end up getting a hold of him, and they give him a tumor in his brain, or they give him brain cancer, and they keep him alive.
Comic books are so ridiculous.
They keep him alive under the terms that he just teleports them wherever they need to go, showing that I guess the X Force are willing to do whatever it takes to get a job done. So they like hold him hostage for their bidding to get them
That's
around.
so interesting that they
Isn't that
chose
crazy?
him.
It's the Vanisher, Black Tom Cassidy, who was only kind of offhand mentioned in this movie in the prison. He has a much bigger representation in the comics and could likely show up in the future,
In
just
Deadpool
by
3
reference.
maybe?
Just who knows?
Maybe that's why they put him in here. Because they did mention him an awful lot for being on screen for only a little bit.
He has a lot of ties with Deadpool. He has a lot of ties with Cable. He's, in the comic, infected with the same nanovirus that Cable is.
Oh, really?
Like all the metal stuff. Yeah, he's infected with like the same kind of virus.
Did he
but then,
have any... Okay, keep
He
talking.
didn't in the movie.
He didn't in the
He's
movie.
supposed to be... He like gets shot up by Cable, and then through that process and healing, gains the ability to control plants and plant life somehow. So that may be something we see from him in the future. Like it comes back and he's like controlling plants or some shit.
He's like
It's
Guy Poison
you
Ivy.
know, whatever their take on him may be for a movie in the future. But he does have a really big take in the comics. So it will be interesting to see more come from him, potentially. Black Tom Cassidy. He has a lot of ties with other characters too, but I didn't really go that far into it. Russell, the little kid, who this movie's kind of around as far as the setter pawn that goes from both sides.
He's definitely the kind of centerpiece of this.
He's Fire Fist. I think they mentioned it in the movie a
And
bit. That's his
they were
ability.
making fun of his name the entire time.
His original story in the comics is he's a Navy recruit who figures out the powers and gets brought in by the X-Force as one of their own. And
Oh.
he's like the guy who always ends up getting kidnapped and hypnotized and turned evil and then rescued again from the X-Force and brought back. Like one of the rescue missions for Fire Fist was a convoy rescue. So who knows if this
Oh,
convoy rescue
yeah.
is a whole nod to the comic convoy rescue of Russell.
That's funny.
But so it's interesting that they kind of made him the centerpiece into this one.
He's like a tool in the comics to get them in stuff,
Yeah.
and here he's the same thing.
Here it's the story for Fire Fist here is that he's a kid who eventually gets influenced to do bad things, and he gets a thirst for it and continues to do bad things until it kills Cable's family
Well,
in the
let's. I
future.
feel like that's not. It's unfair. He's an orphan in the mutant. Also, this is the X-Men mutant universe of superheroes. We have to like remember that it's a much different.
We're in the X-Men universe.
So
X-Men
mutants
universe.
are they're called mutants, not superheroes. They are also like it's very. People don't want mutants to exist. Whereas in other kind of superhero movies, superheroes are like the heroes. Here, there's a whole another faction that's trying to like basically in the same way that like some groups try to like de-gay people. These people try to
rehabilitation.
Yeah.
So that's where he steps at. He's at
So
the like
he's an
Essex
orphan. Yeah.
House of Mutant Rehabilitation.
It's like the opposite of the X-Men high school where they're kind of helping you. This place is an orphan house that is like basically torturing people to try to get them to stop to use the power.
Well, it's the I'm trying to find the full name for it, and I feel bad in the comic people are gonna hate me, but it's the Essex.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing. Essex is I can't remember if it's Nathan Essex, but it's Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister, who's a huge bad guy
is
in
that
the comic series.
the same guy that was in this, or is it?
Yeah, he's not in this
he's not
movie,
in this.
but Essex is his name. Like he's going to likely be a pretty big bad guy in the X-Men universe. Like they keep hitting at him. In another closing scene, I can't remember what movie it was. I think one of the X-Men movies, they like close this briefcase and show Essex on it. And that's Mr. Sinister. Like they keep kind of hitting. He's like, I don't know if he's going to be like the Thanos of the X-Men movies, but he's a pretty big bad guy. So, you know, they keep giving him these kind of nods. And I imagine eventually he's going to be coming back out. You know, he's obviously like the opposite of a Xavier, where he's more about experimenting on mutants to get them like
exactly. It's like the opposite of all the X-Men stuff and Professor X.
All right, Domino, who was a huge breakout in this movie,
Dude.
probably one of the best team members of the movie. Had aside from the scene where everyone's jumping out and dying, like her sequence was probably one of the other biggest scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Like of how she displays her powers, which is a huge thing. Like that is her power. It's just like luck. It's
She's
like
lucky.
just things like work out for her every time. How the hell are you going to do that in a movie?
They seamlessly kind of it's always happening in the movie. Almost like every shot she's in, especially in action sequences, there's like stuff that's happening that is being influenced by her powers, and it's like pretty subtle and sometimes very over the top, like that sequence you're talking about. But they did an amazing job of illustrating that visually, which is funny because they even make the joke that's not very cinematic, and they make it ultra cinematic because I'm sure that was like a conversation they had. But she's funny, she's cool. You want to like hang out with her and be her boyfriend, and like she is my favorite character in this movie probably. Like I thought it was gonna be Cable, and he's awesome. I think they did him justice. But Domino is fucking amazing. I can't wait to see more of her, and I'm happy that she's the one who lives. Yeah. And I was originally, I was questioning the cast. I was like, Domino, you're going to have Domino in the movie? That's like kind of like a random grab. And then I saw her and I was like, I don't really know who this is. I hope she's good. Like, it's a weird take on it. And yeah, this was some of the first promotion for her, which is a nod to the original promotion of the movie where Deadpool was laying on the rug.
That's right.
This is when they announced her. But, you know, the character design was cool. I like how they went with, like, I can't remember what that is called. When you have, like, white skin marks. I don't remember what it's called.
Eczema?
No, it's not eczema. And it's some fucking thing. But they use that because I can't. Voice of got it. Kevin knows it. I don't know, whatever that is. Yeah. It's like where it's like your skin. So like if you're black and then you have like these like white marks all over your skin. I don't know. I've known some people that have it, but that's her. It's like a natural like birthmark basically.
Okay.
But because her character in the comics has like these like fucking things on her.
Yeah, it's almost the opposite. She's white and has a black mark.
It
right
is. Yeah,
there, I
yeah.
believe,
It's
in the
literally the
comic.
opposite.
So,
but
yeah,
her
very
character
cool.
is amazing.
Yeah, and again, hard to pull off. Like it's kind of like how for Infinity War, I wasn't for the Black Order. God, I can't think of the name right now. But the dude who had all the telekinesis powers, but in the comics, like he just uses word of mouth.
Oh, one of his followers.
One of his followers, one of his henchmen in Infinity War, I feel terrible not being able to think of his name, was supposed to be only using word of manipulation, so they just gave him telekinesis powers. I didn't know if they were going to do something like that for this movie. Like her ability's luck. So are they just going to give her like some random extra power to help influence her ability to showcase on screen, or are they going to make that work? And they did. They made it work. Again, one of the sickest scenes ever. I do have to say, I believe I read something where, unfortunately, a stunt woman died during that sequence.
Wait, what?
And they kind of dedicated this movie towards her. I remember reading
her stunt woman?
Her stunt woman. I want to say it's her. A stunt woman got
Oh my
killed
God.
during
That's horrific.
her crazy scene in the movie.
That's absolutely horrific.
Yeah, it's all just to show you how crazy the scene was, I guess. Like I remember reading about that afterward.
Wow,
Intense stuff.
that's a pretty big downer.
Sorry, it's just
and when she's on the screen, she's one of those actresses who, like, you can even see it. Look at her eyes, like her face in general is like you just like are drawn so hard to her, and it's just like everything she's doing, I want to be watching and be a part of. I have to go find out other stuff she's in and watch it, and I can't wait to see her as this character in the future because she's super fucking awesome.
Next up was Shatterstar.
Yeah, one of your little favorites, right?
Sword-wielding mutant from Planet Mojo. And he says that, too. Because the first thing was I see Shatterstar, you're thinking, like, okay, this guy is, like, one of the craziest backgrounds ever. Highly doubt they're going to get into it. What are they going to do with him? And here he is down here with the crazy eye. He's from Planet Mojo, which he actually says in the movie. Planet Mojo is this place that's ran off this, like, social reality network where they just get entertainment putting people against each other to kill each other. Like, the planet's all this, like, entertaining show of watching people kill each other or whatever. So Shatterstar is, like, born and bred from this world. So he's, like, super powerful, maybe even more powerful than Deadpool. And so when they get him in the movie, he just gets cut up by a helicopter.
Right away.
Right away.
He just dive bombs in the helicopter blades.
And that's it. Like,
He's
that's
got
all you
green
know.
goop
Really
everywhere.
don't know anything else. You don't get anything else from him. I don't know if this means they're going to open up more opportunities for Planet Mojo in the future or not, but, you know, I was a little sad by that. But it's funny, you know. It's that they got to do that at least. You really get nothing else. The only other, like, newish character was Yukio.
Yeah, Negasonic's girlfriend.
Megasonic's girlfriend. And the funny thing about
Is it
that is that
Negasonic or Megasonic?
I say Megasonic. Megasonic Teenage Warhead.
Mega with an
N.
N is in Nancy?
Nega.
Yeah. See, it's Negasonic.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's the coolest fucking name ever.
That's a crazy name.
She's amazing. I think my one big disappointment for this movie, I know we're talking about Yukio, but she's like not present in this movie.
No,
in the first one, she's a total breakout in the same way Domino
Yeah.
was. Like, you're just like, who is this kid? She's amazing and funny, and like I just like the contrast of her character with Deadpool. In this one, she basically just scowls a lot.
Yeah.
And then she has one scene where she uses her powers.
Yeah,
like
they
that's
just kind of shared it mostly with all the other characters, I guess, and Cable's in the movie now and all that. It's not just Deadpool
Yeah,
and then
that.
Colossus and her.
She looks
There's
so
all these
sick.
extra people, but she does look super cool. And Yukio is her partner, which is funny because it's actually Shatterstar is one of the characters who comes out to be gay in the comics later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there was even people who were like, "Oh, Shatterstar's in the movie. There's going to be a gay person in the movie. That's great." And then you get in there and you're like, "Oh, he's not gay." But they are. So
Well, he
it's
never
like
really
they kind
says
of
if he is or is not, but
Yeah, they didn't. But
So he
it's
is.
just people were like, "Oh," and then they go in, they're like, "Oh, but they have this." So, you know, classic Deadpool, they switch it off to someone else. So that's kind of neat. We don't get to learn much about her except that she's a cute little Asian girl who swings a chain around.
yeah, they basically there's like one scene at the end where they actually fight together, and she's got like a electric chain looking thing that she whips around. But
Yeah, I didn't even bother looking too much into her comic, but if you guys know more about her and her history, feel free to share it on our Discord.
dude, I thought she was gonna be. So when I saw her in the trailer and I didn't know anything about her the first time, I thought it was like Jubilee. I thought it was like a modern take on Jubilee.
Yeah, right.
Because you just saw this like weird electric energy, and I mean Jubilee uses like Phantasm
Fireworks.
and it's like fireworks stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe that's her. I don't know, but it's not at all. I also love these designs of the X-Men costumes.
Yeah, it's like it looks old school.
It's like old school but new and cool.
You see that like X kind of look again when he is the trainee and comes with that like jersey on.
That was
early-
so funny.
That was great.
Oh my god! So there's a scene where he becomes first off the entire scene where so Colossus takes him after he tries to kill himself. So the whole point of this movie is Deadpool, his girlfriend from the first movie. I don't think he proposes. His girlfriend. Oh, look at it. Yeah. So so she dies and he wants to kill
Yeah,
himself. but
early
he-
in the movie, she gets
Yeah.
shot and killed.
And he blames himself, and he doesn't want to live anymore, so he wants to kill himself, but
Mm-hmm.
he can't because he's Deadpool. And so then Colossus kind of like takes him in. He's like, "You got problems? We're gonna help you. You should become part of the X-Men." And so he becomes an X-Men trainee. And the first time they are out, he's wearing this football jersey that's like cut off here with like the X-Men thing
It
on
says
it.
trainee on
It's
the
a
back.
trainee. It's so funny because like everybody's like looks so sick, and then he just looks so ridiculously like dumb. But that scene is played out well, and in the mansion as well. In the they make the joke because they made the joke in the first one too.
Yep.
How they go to the mansion and nobody's there. There's just like no superheroes there, and it's because at the time it was because they didn't allow Deadpool to have like any real characters in the movie. You know, they really wanted to scale it down and almost disconnect it from the universe, but remind you that it was like a part of it.
Yeah.
And so in this one, he's making jokes and he's going through the whole thing, and he's like, "Where is everybody?" And then there's like this shot from like behind him, like where he's not looking, and it's all the X-Men. This like amazing cameo, and they're all hiding in a room, and they like close the door on him. You know.
It's so perfect because they just know, like, oh, we don't want to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
Trying to hide
Which
away
makes
from
sense
him.
because that's exactly what they would do in the comics.
That was a perfect way to play off that whole thing where it's like, yeah, where are the X-Men? Because that does kind of leave a huge question for this movie. I mean, numerous times going to the mansion, no one else is there. And then at one point in this movie, like, which we'll get into more of later, Juggernaut, who's probably one of the most fearsome villains in the X-Men universe, is attacking a school of kid mutants like who are in trouble. That is like X-Men to the T. Get
really
there and
X-Men.
help. Where the fuck are you guys?
really
Nope, sorry,
X-Men.
we're going to send in Teenage Warhead. We're going to send in Colossus. That's all you get.
That's all. Yeah.
So it is kind of like, where the fuck are the X-Men? But it's fun that they gave it that nod. Like, they're there. They're in the universe. They just are avoiding Deadpool.
They just don't like Wade Wilson. That's it.
So it's so funny. And just on that note, the continuous jabs that Deadpool makes at X-Men, even at particular Hugh Jackman and Wolverine,
He's an obsession with
is so
Wolverine,
great.
which
I
is
think
funny.
it's so funny. Like, they don't stop from the first movie. First movie, he jabbed on himself. He jabbed on the old Deadpool, jabbed on Wolverine, jabbed on Green Lantern. Does the same thing in the second movie. Opening scene of the second movie is a Wolverine figurine
Logan dying.
of him dying right off the bat.
When it's hilarious because the movie opens and closes with Wolverine jokes. You
Yes, it
realize
does.
that? Like,
Yep.
it's like that. He's obsessed with Wolverine, which makes sense because the character is because Wolverine is a part of him, in the lore. And they really make it apparent in this. Because he blames Wolverine's blood for him not being able to die.
Yep.
Which is something that's always been talked about. But I don't know. The movie is funny, dude. Movie is funny. Let's keep going through I love this lore list.
I
This
think
is
that
great.
was pretty much most of the X Factor stuff as far as
You
who
had-
they are, where they're coming in, who they are in the there's one other here that I skipped over. I didn't notice.
Peter?
Hope Summers.
Hope
Hope Summers in the movie. Hope is Cable's daughter. Is really all we know. The one that the teddy bear.
The one that died.
Teddy
Teddy
daughter.
bear.
Hope Summers is actually one of the strongest mutants in all of the comics.
Explain.
So Cable, as we know, is the son of Cyclops and a clone of Jean Grey. So Cable is a very strong mutant.
Yes.
You know, I'm happy to go more into Cable when we talk more about him, but the movie doesn't show us exactly the lengths of how strong Cable is. You know, Cable.
The movie does not
They
touch
don't
on
even
anything.
touch Cable. They
don't tell you
They
anything.
got away with the absolute bare minimum of
I
what
like
you can
that.
with
You
Cable.
didn't like that.
I did like is Josh Brolin's great as Cable. He looks like Cable.
Yeah.
And he's a hard ass.
He's a
all
hard
that stuff
ass.
is great. And they didn't go much further.
You were
And
like really after we left the movie. Dakota's big complaint, like literally as soon as we leave, is like, why didn't they talk about anything to do with Cable's history? And my thing is because it's too fucking
it
confusing.
is, but there's some things you may be able to tease, like you don't even know why the metal shit's on
But
him.
that's okay,
No
he
one
just got
knows.
metal shit.
Like people come in the movie and just be like, he's like a Terminator. I guess he's like half cyborg.
yeah, they ham up that he's a Terminator.
Yeah, he's like a Terminator.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but dude, the dude is suffering. So what it is he's got a techno virus that infected him from apocalypse in the future. So it's taking over his body, and the only thing stopping it is his telekinesis powers are controlling
Constantly
it.
fighting back.
Constantly fighting. That's why he can't use the full power of his telekinetic abilities, is because he's using most of it to control the virus on
And like
himself.
every time he has to try really hard, the virus like basically gains
Yeah.
ground on him.
They give like one moment in this movie where he's like shirtless
He's, like,
and he's like
playing with it.
and he's like looking in the mirror and he's like, So they kind of give you an impression like this is not natural for him. This, he's suffering in some way.
I think, though, my problem, I actually think that if you don't understand that, because I knew that, I was like, okay, yeah, they're getting it. This is painful and this is not fun. But I think if you didn't, it happened right after a fight scene with Deadpool. And I think what you think is that Deadpool punched him really hard and he was confused that Deadpool caused him pain.
Yeah.
That's what I think you take away if you know nothing about the comics. But I think if you do know anything about the comics, you're saying, okay, they're addressing that. But
or he took so many shots that he had to, because he was kind of using the powers or not. Like the guns were flying at him.
Yeah, the guns were flying.
Is that
around.
a feature on the gun that gets sucked back? Does he have magnet abilities, or was that his telekinesis bringing the guns back to him in some way? So
he is badass, dude.
He looks very badass.
He's sick.
He looks like a Cable, and they had a lot of people considered for this role. Anyways, I'm getting incredibly sidetracked because I wanted to talk about
we're sidetracking.
Hope Summers.
Okay,
who is
fine.
Cable's adopted daughter in the comics.
The
We don't
teddy
know.
bear.
we don't-
Famously, Teddy Bear is part of the comic book lore. It's a really great part of, especially in the Deadpool. They super emphasize it in the Deadpool Cable crossover comic series. It's like almost always on the cover issues is like him and his. It'll be like his teddy bear, and then like Deadpool has his own version, and the doing stuff. Like that was a great crossover series too. So okay, Hope Summers.
So
Super
in the movie, we don't know if it's Cable's blood daughter or if it's also his adopted daughter, because in the comic it's like his adopted daughter that he like takes in. But Hope Summers is like a cross of mutants as well. I believe she's also got influence from Jean Grey or whatever. She's technically classed as like an Omega level mutant. And I guess in comics, there's a comic series of X-Men versus the Avengers, and this is like some crazy thing where Cyclops is the bad guy and turns into Dark Phoenix, and the only way they beat him is Hope Summers like takes in all the energy from the X-Men and becomes an even stronger Dark Phoenix.
What?
So
I don't remember that. That's insane.
it's like some crazy shit. So essentially it's just like they give this little thing to Hope, and Hope Summers is like a mega powerful mutant we could see in the future. Right now, as the movie leaves it off, Hope Summers is now alive and well, according to the teddy bear at least. That's all clean at the end of the movie. So I don't know what that means, if they're going to go back to that time, if she's going to have some sort of big influence. But
I would imagine they would reserve her for the X-Men universe.
just the same way that in the Marvel universe they did acknowledge Adam in that post-credit scene for Adam Warlock, and he's a big figure. He's the one who takes down Thanos and all that shit. Are they going to bring him into the series?
No,
I don't know.
you see? Did you see? They said no.
Yeah, they did.
You're
right.
They came out officially and said, nah.
And so everyone's like, but what the fuck does Adam mean?
And maybe he's,
what the fuck?
And this is sidetracking, but those guys, the showrunners for that, famously misdirect in all of their pre-marketing media.
Well,
and
that's
everything.
just blue balling the comic nerds out there way too hard.
Right, but imagine if they said no and then he's in the movie. That'd be super.
That'd be dope, though.
You'd be psyched. You'd be psyched.
I don't know.
Okay,
They could be.
All right, so yeah, Super Mutants, Cable. Let's get back to him because I love
Back
him.
to Cable.
I want to talk
so
to Cable.
anyways, Hope Summers could be something. That's his motive. He's coming back. His family's dead. His family was burnt to a crisp, maybe by Russell, by the future Fire Fist.
It was by
going,
Russell.
Yeah, so going
Russell,
crazy.
Russell Fire Fist basically, as these events are happening in the movie, at the end of it, he kills the guy who's running the orphanage because he was like torturing him, and probably they hint that he was maybe like molesting him as well. And then so he's like super pissed. He's this funny little kid though, and he eventually kills him and then gets a bloodlust for revenge and goes on a tirade. And he grows up, he becomes a villain, and he is just killing everybody. And him and Cable are fighting back and forth in the future, basically, after the world has been like destroyed in this terrible place. And to take revenge on Cable, he kills his wife, he kills his daughter. And so that is why Cable is back, because he's trying to stop that from happening by killing him and making it so it never happened.
He's got two charges on his time leaping device, which, one to go back and then one to go back home after he gets the job done. So he's back, and that's his intentions the whole way through.
He's sick. He's got a really cool gun.
Very cool.
They can turn it up to 11.
Futuristic weaponry.
I'm surprised they didn't make that joke, by the way, in this movie. They hinted it because it had an 11 on the dial, but they never actually went to it. He turned it to 10. When Deadpool grabbed it, he was like, ooh, and then, and it was like, but he didn't turn it to 11. But it was like kind of this was the first promo image that came out for Cable, and got a lot of people really excited and interested because he's huge in this movie, and he looks like he's like working out before every single scene because all his veins are just like just all over the place. Super vascular, masculine man. But something that I was hoping for, and I hope still comes, So part of Cable and like the time traveler part of the X-Men universe is another character who's one of my favorites and is kind of like he came in like mid to end of the X-Men 90s era, Bishop. And you have the Cable and Bishop comics, and Bishop is also becomes an X-Men at one point. And I was really hoping to see him in this movie. And I think there's still room for him. And now that they've introduced his time traveling stuff, I think he would be great also for Deadpool because he's like, I don't know, he's sick. He's another guy who's just like a huge badass, uses big guns, and like looks really cool.
Yep. I mean, this really opens up the partnership for Deadpool and Cable. They have a great comic series together. It's, you know, where everything Deadpool is sarcastically fourth wall breaking and crazy. Cable's there for everything else, you know, a hard ass who keeps him in check and is just a badass. So I hope that's something that they keep going with. If so, Brolin's gonna be rolling in the fucking dough.
I wonder how, as he's playing Thanos and Cable, and they even make the Thanos joke. You heard it in the trailer. They make
many Marvel. He makes so many Marvel Universe jokes. Black Panther, or no, Black Widow, Brown Panther, Thanos. Like there's so many Marvel Universe jokes in this. It's so funny. He even goes to DC dark joke. He says, "I'm Batman."
I'm Batman. Yeah,
they do so many jokes. Like he doesn't care, and then. The references are just out of control. Ryan Reynolds is clearly a musical nut. He did so many musical references in the first movie. He was like wearing Rent at one point. In this movie, they were singing Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, they had the entire...
And I like note down... Let's see. I noted some that I could think of. Oh, my God. So Russell in the prison... I didn't catch this at first, but his prison number was 246... 01.
Holy shit, it's a pixel peep. What is it?
So that is Hugh Jackman's prison number in Les Mis. 24601 is Hugh Jackman's Les Mis number.
You're legendary.
I didn't pick that out.
That's
I read that somewhere, and I like the second they were like, if you notice his number was 24. I'm like, oh my God, that's Hugh Jackman's Les Mis number, and I didn't hear it at first in the movie. Amazing. Papa, can you hear me? that whole moment when he's comparing it to "I'ma build a snowman" or whatever.
That's like a thread through the entire movie.
There was a Barbara Streisand like video moment. Like he was just dropping fun musical things throughout the whole thing. Like it's clear that Ryan Reynolds has like some sort of is a musical fan.
That's funny,
in some
dude.
way. So
I didn't even think about it, but it's so obvious. Yeah, they like beat you over that with it almost.
Just no mercy though. Marvel Universe, DC Universe, musicals,
he gets them all.
Fourth wall. What's happening right now? Like,
so do you think though with Cable that they're gonna explore any other versions of Cable?
I don't know.
Because you were talking about, and I didn't really know this, that there are multiple versions of Cables, including one that I thought was really cool, where the virus takes over completely.
Yeah, God, I feel bad. Someone out there's gonna know the name of that character. It's the cloned Cable where the technovirus takes him over completely. He's like entirely all metal, but like mega powerful. So it begins with an S. I'm going to probably put it up in the Discord afterward just because it's going to bug me. And then in addition to that, there's like there's a universe Cable where he's created from Cyclops and the original Jean Grey. And he's non-technovirus infected and just all-powerful or something like that.
He can use his telekinesis powers all the
there's multiple Cables, just like I'm sure there's multiple Deadpools and stuff like that. It was just like in my frantic research to be like, okay, let me relearn everything Cable before checking out the movie. It was neat to read about all these fun little factoids.
Yeah, it's me crazy to see where they go with the next Deadpool, which has already been announced, just like the other one is, that they're doing a Deadpool 3.
Did they announce a Deadpool 3 or did they announce the X-Force?
No,
Because in the movie,
both.
they make jokes about how, Ryan Reynolds has said, and whether it be true or not, that he's not really interested in doing a third movie. They made a joke in the movie that, why would you make a third? You just kill it at that point. It was like when he's talking to TJ Miller in the bar. Which may be a joke on Iron Man 3, I guess, for whatever reason. But essentially was just hinting at doing a third is not really the way to go, and that if Deadpool was to continue, he'd be more a part of a faction or team in that movie.
I know that the X-Force movie is happening.
Yes.
I'm going to look at it right now. But I believe that Deadpool 3 was also just announced, that it's happening. I think I would imagine that basically what they do is they do an X-Force movie first to kind of take a break from the Deadpool straight movies, and that Deadpool 3, gosh, see... You know what's funny? In the trailers, this shot is flipped in between the first and the second trailer. The first trailer is like this. The second trailer is like that. And this is how it actually ends up being in the movie. She is so cool. Yeah. Deadpool 3. Now, so he did say it before that's not happening, but Ryan Reynolds now says Deadpool 3 is happening, and he wants Wolverine in it.
Oof.
I mean, a Deadpool 3 with Wolverine is like the ultimate next step for the character.
Yeah,
that makes
would
sense.
Be crazy. I can't imagine how many jokes or what they're gonna
Literally,
do.
here's the article that was just,
All right, cool. Nice job. Thanks, Kevin. I mean, yeah, or if they have the right direction, the right writers, maybe he's just feeling it at that time. I'm not too sure. I welcome it. I mean, Iron Man 3 is the only third sequel of a movie,
Thor.
right? Oh, there is a third Thor. You're right.
Yeah, it's their Thor, and it's the best one. So I don't think
Wait,
they're afraid
Thor
of that.
3 or is it Ragnarok?
Ragnarok is Thor 3. So it's Thor, and it's Thor, the Dark, whatever. Dude, look how amazing whatever it is, her facial expressions are unbelievable. It's just like, I just want to take her face off and wear it, and just be that.
All right, so you're right. It is a chance that they could just do a third movie, I guess.
There's also, by the way, speaking of musicals, the title sequence is hilarious, kind of like play on title sequences.
You know, flash dance and everything with that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did a lot of really cool work in the movie to like just squeeze a joke every single place, and it's like the title sequence starts, and it's like you think it's normal, and then you start seeing the names they're using, and it's just like over the top, ridiculous, and funny. But what I was thinking about too is that it's kind of a shot. Some of the things are kind of a shot at the director of the first movie from the title sequence chat, because so the director of the first movie, whose name I'm going to have to look up because I can't remember, but he founded a studio called Blur, and Blur is basically, they're an amazing visual effects studio, and they're made famous for like their CG work, specifically in title sequences, as well as cinematics for video games.
Okay.
Basically, they won an Academy Award for their one of their short films they made. Look them up. Look up Blur Studios Reel, and their work is unbelievable. So Tim Miller, who's the director of Deadpool 1,
okay.
Are you ready to do this? I'm going to jump into some stuff about Deadpool 1 and 2.
Go for it.
Basically, so Tim Miller directs Deadpool 1, and he, his career is made famous for title sequences and some of the work they did, especially CG-heavy ones like that. So they make the first Deadpool for $58 million. Basically, cheap.
Very cheap for
especially
a superhero movie.
So they don't have money for big stars. They don't have money for big action sequences.
Which a lot of people say that's part of the reason why most of the movies around that one location on the freeway or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I think they leverage basically Miller's relationship with Blur Studios, since he's literally a co-founder, to be able to get some of that CG sequences done without having to spend that much money. Like, do you remember the first Deadpool leak? The fight scene in the car.
Oh yeah.
Like Blur did that entire sequence, as like a case study kind of.
Yeah, that's how they got people interested in it.
Yeah. So, Deadpool 1. And I'm just gonna talk a little bit about Deadpool 1, what happened with that movie, and why they ended up switching directors. Because this is a new director in Deadpool 2, which is a little weird because they were so successful as a team in the first one. So Deadpool 1 comes out. They make it for $58 million. And it makes $783 million. That's global box office, okay? So it is a humongous movie. It's the highest grossing R-rated film. It is the highest grossing X-Men film and the 9th highest grossing movie of 2016. Obviously, it was a huge shock when it came out. People didn't know who Deadpool was. People didn't think an R-rated superhero movie could happen or that a funny superhero movie could happen. It does everything that they say they can't. So immediately after, like you said, Deadpool 2 greenlit, Deadpool 2 announced. But I guess during post-production of Deadpool 1, Ryan Reynolds and Tim Miller start fighting a lot. And obviously, Ryan Reynolds is going to get his way. And he has so much kind of in this movie.
Yeah.
And I guess the big beef was about the budget for the second movie. Because Miller, I guess, didn't want a big budget. He wanted to shoot on the same budget. So they would focus on character stuff and it being about funny situations and like not being about big cameos, not being about big set piece action stuff. He thought it was going to ruin the franchise. So the next movie, so he gets kicked. And the next movie gets a bigger budget. Shit, I didn't write it down. But I believe it was like $120 million or something.
Okay.
So pretty big budget. But I don't think they did anything wrong with it. It didn't feel like it was betraying the franchise or the first movie in any ways by pumping money in it.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was allowing them to do bigger and better and be kind of like have more freedom.
Yeah.
With what they were doing.
And if you have to compete with Infinity War, you may have to bring out some extra bucks to pull out these big scenes, to pull out these crazy cameos. I think that is kind of necessary, and I'm kind of glad they did put the extra investment into it.
He was specifically upset, I guess, about just the idea of Cable being in the movie. Because if you remember, when that was announced, the casting rumors were like crazy.
Oh,
and I think you have a list of all of...
These are all the people that were potentially slated or were thought about or considered to play the role of Cable.
And
Here we go.
So he was... I want to just say the one he was specifically pissed off was Kyle Chandler. There's a quote of him saying that basically when he heard that, he knew he never wanted to be a part of the
He's
project.
actually not on this list. It's so funny. It's Dolph Lundgren, Mel Gibson, Kurt Russell, Bruce Willis, Alec Baldwin, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stephen Lang, Ron Perlman, Pierce Brosnan, and David Harbour.
Yeah.
All were considered to be Cable.
Ron Perlman and Pierce Brosnan were the one that I remember being talked about a lot, and I didn't like either of them. Also, and I don't remember his name, so I'm not sure if he was mentioned in that list, but the super military guy from Avatar, I know he was being talked about for a long time because he literally is like built like Deadpool, he's just like a jacked military dude. I'm super happy they went with Brolin.
Brolin's
I think
great.
That was the killer.
There were some people who said that, you know, they saw him and when they heard him, they could only hear Thanos. I don't know if you had that problem.
No,
I didn't seem to notice
have
that
that
much.
problem
And
at
we
all.
just saw it like the week before.
No.
I felt he did a great job kind of
It was totally different.
distancing both of the characters pretty well.
So the second movie, they got to find a new director. And so the guy they chose is a gentleman, and I'm sorry I have to read this, named David Leitch, or Leitch. So he has a very interesting story because he's kind of like the modern movie, cinema, action movie director. He is a stuntman turned director, and his first take was co-director with Chad, and this is another name I can't say, Chad Stahelski, who is the director of John Wick.
Yeah.
Famously, Keanu Reeves, stuntman go-to guy. He's worked on all these movies, and then Keanu's like, let's do this together. They make John Wick, obviously humongous success. So Leitch co-directs uncredited John Wick. Then, after the success of John Wick, the studio gives him a new project, Atomic Blonde, with Charlize Theron, which supposedly action is amazing, and the movie's actually pretty cool from that perspective. Doesn't really hit off. I think not a lot of people saw it, but was received well. And then you got him in Deadpool 2. So it's his first real, here's a big franchise, you're a guy, you're a stuntman guy, let's make the action. I think he did an amazing job with the action and the comedy, which is hard.
Yeah.
I do think there were some things that felt like weird, and I wonder if they were not necessarily mistakes by him, but like things that he didn't plan for correctly. There felt like there was a lot of weird like jumps in the edit. There felt like the way they use music was really strange in this movie. I did not really enjoy. I like, maybe because I'm a child of the music video generation, but I like my music in my action movies to be synced and to be kind of playing off each other and have that fun kind of like big punches on big drops.
Yeah. Like to jump out of the plane music, I think, which is almost a nod to one of the other movies. I want to say they play like a similar same song, like it was an AC/DC track or something like that.
Yeah.
When he jumps out. But
and then it was like, I was like, don't call
like
it.
That feels good. It's like action time, comic books.
Yeah, but that's
are
the
vintage.
trailer.
This song is vintage. Let's go.
They do this weird thing in this movie where the big music drops happen in between the action scenes. So it's like one specific one is like they're like, there's a lot of jokes about like dubstep in this, and the Skrillex song Bangarang comes on. So in the middle of the fight, and they're fighting, and it's all this cool shit, and then they make the joke about dubstep, and then there's a dubstep sequence, but they're not fighting. They're just like walking and like falling or something. And then it comes back, and the music cuts out, and then it goes back to fighting. And at the end of the movie, they do it again. There's another song that they play that is, it happens when all the not action is happening, like all the in between, which I just thought was a weird choice.
Okay.
It's not. I mean, I think it was a choice by how deliberate it seemed. Like all the music hits happened in between the actual action, but it's not what I like. There's also some very jumpy edits that felt like something happened, fucked up. They didn't get the right coverage. Joke didn't hit, whatever. The jumping out of the plane sequence in specific, the big elaborate set piece fight scene convoy sequence. how they get out of that sequence is really, really weird. He's fighting Deadpool in the back, and then he lunges at him, and then it goes to Domino, and you hear this dub line that's like, Domino, slow down. And then she's like, okay. And then it's like a very long kind of her trying to like slow down the thing. And then it cuts back to where he would have been lunging before, but now instead he's like 5 feet away from him again. And it's like a very, like something happened that didn't come through right. And I don't want to blame the
curious
director.
if there's like
it's a weird edit.
There might be a decent amount of like deleted scenes and offhand that may be coming with the future
they said
digital or DVD release.
There is a extended cut coming out.
Extended cut, yeah.
And there was something else along those lines that they were going to be doing. But I know that there is an extended cut coming out.
I would believe it. Yeah.
I don't know. So I think he did a great job, but I think there was some weird stuff in terms of the edit. But I don't know how much you can blame that on him. And I don't know. Overall, I was really happy and psyched, and I think it's really cool that all these stuntmen, and it makes sense because stuntmen are guys that are a part of like every piece of the movie.
Yeah.
They work with every department. They work with directors.
Yeah.
They work with the cinematographers. They work with makeup. They work with costume design. They work with production design. So they're basically, in some ways, acting like a director would, where they're getting their fingers involved in everything. They know what people have to do in their problems. And so it's a very natural extension, I think, in action movies for these guys to jump into the
So what would
director.
you like out of the third movie? Something closer to what the second movie brought than the first movie? Do you think they would have to tone back the action and bring in something else? Like, what would you like to see more in that third movie now?
I am a fan of amping up the action. I think that
more action.
I think that the action is super fun in how they do it because they're not afraid to be silly and ridiculous and do things that don't make sense. So you get really kind of memorable, different stuff, whereas modern superhero action sequences are about one-upmanship and like basically bigger. I don't think that Deadpool would do that. It would do more ridiculous, which for me is a lot more fun of a take on a bigger action scene. But I think that naturally the movie is going to be funny and naturally the movie is going to be filled with jokes. And I think it'll be very difficult because this movie feels like it literally nonstop hammers you with jokes, except there is kind of, and some people on our Discord were complaining, they felt like there was two tones in this movie, and it was very weird how it would go from being silly, listen to my fart, to very emotionally driven character stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the balance was off. I don't know how you thought
weird.
about it.
It's like almost similar to when we watched Infinity War, and it was nonstop action. So where Deadpool had nonstop humor, imagine Infinity War, nonstop action, and they get to that one scene, like the Thanos Gamora scene, and it's very intense and slow and dramatic. And people are like, that's the best scene ever. And you're kind of caught like, is it the best scene ever? Or is there extra focus on it because there's just so much action everywhere else that when you finally get to these like slower scenes, you're like, okay, I can catch my breath and really focus in. In this one, it's like humor, and then something about Vanessa, and you're just like, oh, you know, it's a lot more intense. And does it make you feel that those moments are a lot more serious because we're not seeing Wade be silly anymore or not? And I think it was. I feel like there was even moments, and you know, I found myself extra a little bit at the beginning because you know she's pregnant and they're about to have a family, and I'm kind of like, ooh, you know, and of course my wife's pregnant and we're about to have a family.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty hardcore.
And then they get pretty sentimental. He gets very, very serious, and then you get. When he jumps down the building and tackles the guy through the car afterward, I'm just like, fucking get him. Get that son of a bitch. You know, I'm like ready. So I think it's pretty good. I think the balance was pretty fair. And it definitely made those moments with Vanessa extra interesting to me. And I'll get into that when we talk about unanswered questions and what for the future.
I love the moments, and I thought they were really well done. And I thought they did a great job, number one, of literally ejecting us from the world by using this like metaphor of him falling into water and being sucked into this kind of like afterworld. They shot it completely different. It's lit super bloomy, super lens flary, super kind of like ethereal, much how you would shoot Heaven, which is kind of like a Heaven area. Again, the tone shift is completely like opposite, but I think they did a great job of like physically moving him in and out of that and allowing us to understand that it was going to be happening. Wow, you know, they did kind of make there were jokes in there. They just weren't as kind of like shoved down your throat. But what it reminds me of also is that I think why, and just to touch on the director stuff again, an action director is good for an action comedy is because they understand physical, like physical storytelling, which includes like physical humor, and there's a lot of funny physical humor in this.
Slapsticky kind of
Like
humor.
just, I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to be slapsticky. It's just like Jackie Chan is like filled with like all his movies filled with like very much so physical humor, like how he does things. Even though it's an incredible action feat, it's also funny, and this movie has a lot of those moments.
Yep.
But we can talk about
there's lots to talk
unanswered
about.
questions.
But no, we got to go back. Just like one thing we didn't talk about, like Juggernaut. I thought was a huge surprise in the movie.
Juggernaut was a big
I did
surprise.
not know he was going to be in this
They
movie.
did a good job of not
I did
spoiling
not
that.
know. I thought he was pretty badass in the old X-Men movies. It was neat. You know, that was the time of I'm the Juggernaut bitch, and they did the one line. And
This
that was
one was
kinda neat.
better.
This one was better. I like this Jug a lot. You know, they were hinting at while they were in the prison center that there's this huge beast. You want to make friends with the biggest guy in the prison yard, and you're like, who the fuck's going to be in there?
Foreshadowing.
I thought it was going to be just some random giant goon, but for it to emerge as Jug and the dude was fucking huge, I was stoked. I
what-
like Jug. The
you know how I thought it was gonna
Tesseract
be?
fucking dude taking over. Stepbrother of Charles Xavier. This guy is huge. He's a massive figure in X-Men. So
He's
to
a
just
huge
pull him
badass.
out like that is just another reason for me to get excited on where this is going to go.
Is
And
there-
he lives apparently. You said you saw it, and then I double checked afterward. He is rising
Yes.
from the pool at the end of the movie where he was like shoved in and electrocuted. He's rising from the pool, so the man is back.
100%. Yeah, Juggernaut was amazing. I thought it was going to be the Blob.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because
I don't
they
know.
talked about
God,
there's a
how
lot
would they
of-
do the Blob?
Dude, I want the Blob. Nobody's done the Blob right. The Blob is fucking hilarious, and he's like a fat guy, and he's like a big guy. Because I thought he was. It would have made sense that he's like so big, he has to be in his own kind of little thing, and like, it would have been a funny character for Deadpool to like riff on.
Yeah.
It would have made sense in this universe because the Blob is hard to work into other kind of franchises.
Yeah.
I hope the Blob eventually makes his way into Deadpool, and I
Maybe.
thought Juggernaut was gonna be, but I'm happy this Juggernaut was in there.
Yeah.
And he was big and bad.
Just
and,
hard ass. He just
Dude.
didn't say much. It's like Russell is like, let's go fuck some shit up. He's like, yeah, or
Yeah,
something like that. It's
yeah.
just like, yeah, dude. I don't know why I was just super into Juggernaut. Like I said, he's a huge character in the comics and will likely be a huge character in X-Men movies moving forward. So great to see him return. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we want to talk about before we get to like the back end of this whole discussion on unanswered questions and what does this mean and tinfoil hat theories here coming. So looks like it. Well, first we'll acknowledge the ending a bit. Deadpool sacrifices himself to save Russell, which in turn saves Cable's daughter Hope. Cable pays it forward, sacrifices his last time jump to go back in time and to save Deadpool by giving him his token back or whatever, putting it over his heart so that when the bullet comes, the bullet's deflected by that little token, and Deadpool lives. Deadpool would have died because he had that collar on
The collar.
that took away his
doesn't
mutant power.
use his superpowers. Sure.
But again, Deadpool's all about like, I'm okay dying and sacrificing because, you know, when I talked with Vanessa, she said I have to do good in order to be able to make it with her. So he's under the impression that if he saves this kid and dies doing so, then he'll be able to be with Vanessa in the afterlife. So,
And he is.
and he is. So that happens and he gets brought back, saves Vanessa, saves Peter, and then okay, so yeah, Cable uses his thing, brings him back. He goes to Vanessa. Vanessa says it's not your time yet, comes back to life or whatever. And then the post-credit scene is they fix the time leaping device.
Yeah, somehow Negasonic and what's his name?
Yukio?
And Yukio know how to fix a time traveling watch, which is just like okay.
For now, unlimited
yeah,
use now,
unlimited time jumps.
which is crazy. So I love how he uses it. This is a great post-credit scene.
Post credit scenes are made. Definitely, if you have, I mean, you should. We're spoiling the fuck out of this already. But
He goes back, he saves Peter, who jumped from the plane and then got spit on and died. He jumps out, you know, he comes back just to tell Peter, like, don't do anything, just leave. And so he goes, okay. So he saves Peter,
can
which
you
is
give
great.
Domino my email?
Doesn't doesn't save any of the other X Factors. So I guess that's one of the questions. Like, does he ultimately save Terry Crews and all the
Yeah.
other guys, the
Yeah.
Vanisher and all that? Or no,
Doesn't
does he
seem
just
like
save
it.
Peter?
He just wants Peter's sweet little soul.
So that's, I guess, one of the answer questions. He goes, and then he comically goes back in time to the old X-Men universe. Wade Wilson, Deadpool, kills him many times, shoots him over tons and tons of times.
Kills
which is
himself.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I mean, the second they showed him in that old scene, we knew what was going
The
to
whole
happen.
creator went wild.
Part
The
of me
whole
was
creator went
hoping
wild.
that Hugh Jackman was gonna interact with him in some way, like they brought Hugh Jackman back in to somehow redo that scene.
Yeah.
But they just used him
It was
from
old
the movie.
footage,
It was just
yeah.
old footage, but
I-
still hilarious.
I think it's an interesting decision. I liked the way they did it, but yeah, part of me was hoping that Hugh Jackman would actually have a line.
But they did get Ryan Reynolds to re-record some new scene of him grabbing the Green Lantern script.
Yeah.
Just for him to come back and
He
blow
kills
out,
himself.
blow out Ryan Reynolds the second he gets excited about doing the Green Lantern, which is just hilarious. So that was pretty much it though for the post-credit scene, right? There was no post-credit scene.
There was no post-credit scene.
No
That
post-credit
was really like a
scene.
mid-credit scene anyways.
It's just a mid-credit scene of a lot of little fun things like that. No Deadpool 3's coming. This is the character in it. Nothing
I'll say
like
the
that.
outro animation, the outro title sequence animation was very cute.
It was.
The first one was very big CG, making fun of Hollywood. The last one was very cute and earnest in the way that it was like kid drawings, like Deadpool drawing with crayons the whole movie and all the characters. What I thought it was interesting is that every character was dressed up as Deadpool except for his wife. His wife was like, he drew every character as a Deadpool version of that character, except for her. She was herself.
This may go into my crazy tinfoil hat theory that I read about.
Put him on.
Here we go, guys. Let me explain to you what I read and took in as a theory that Vanessa may be Death.
Whoa.
So
Wait.
in the comics, Deadpool
Like
does
Thanos death?
like
Death.
So in the comics, Wade does fall in love with Death.
Oh.
Now they have a tight relationship, of course, because every time Deadpool dies, he's like on Death's doorstep and then gets brought back. So he does have this relationship with Death, and even in the comics, there's a point where Death's ex-boyfriend, Thanos, and they have an outing with each other.
What?
Deadpool and Thanos do in a comic series. I haven't read this comic. Maybe you
Oh,
even have that
I
comic
know.
for all you
Do
know.
I have
to go
it?
back to your collection and
Jeez.
check out. So a lot of people are thinking, like, is this a possible thing? Because, Wade keeps being brought back to Death's doorstep where Vanessa says, your time's not over yet. You got to go. The first time they start going out, Wade gets cancer.
Holy shit.
So everyone's like, what the fuck's going on? There's like this crazy theory that
Dude, that's
Vanessa
a
could
good
be
theory.
the human, form of Death. Because like she dies right away. Like when he meets, he gets cancer and it's this
Dude,
whole
my
deal.
brain is just like...
And, it's just a theory. It's just
the
a crazy
timeline
theory.
makes sense, though, because, oh, man. That's a great theory. I like that.
Yeah. So it was jealous ex-Thanos actually had cursed Deadpool with immortality so that every time Deadpool dies, he gets to see Death, but then gets sent right back.
Yeah.
So it's like this permanent curse of just seeing Death briefly and then being sent back out. Whereas Thanos, I guess, could just transcend and be
That
able
would
to
be an
hang out with her.
amazing character change for her. And she's
Imagine
great.
that like crosses all over with the Marvel universe and Thanos is like Vanessa, and shit. Josh Brolin's looking at himself like, what the fuck,
Dude, because everybody's asking when will Cable meet Thanos, and you have to deal with that.
That's some crazy future movie where all studios work together in harmony and they have a budget of $1 billion to have everyone
far off, man.
involved.
Not that far
I
off.
don't know. I mean, that goes with the other questions. I left one of my questions. Will there be a Deadpool 3 or will it just be part of an X-Force movie or something like that?
I think we'll see both. It's so successful. This weekend was huge. Huge weekend. Huge weekend. Let me look at the numbers really quick. I
Yeah,
believe it
I'm
was
curious.
300 million global.
To pull out something like that after Infinity War, I think is just got to be a huge achievement. Maybe a lot of it credit is to the massive amount of promotion they did for this movie, but it's got its own place. It's an R-rated adult action movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
And I think that is a big thing that we'll see more of, and I am surprised we haven't seen more of, is that big hard R on the movie. I don't think people have embraced it enough. I hope we get a Spawn reboot. I hope we get some other cool dark stuff.
More into Cable, please. There's so much more about this guy.
I mean, obviously, Cable needs that.
The technovirus. This dude's
way
from
more.
the future. He created Apocalypse, and Apocalypse kills him.
I'd be down for a standalone Cable movie. That would be really cool.
It'd be super deep.
It'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And there's so much to get into. It'd be crazy. But yeah, 300 million global opening weekend. I think it was like 100 something US.
How much did Infinity War get? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
I don't know.
Of that first weekend,
I think like 800.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I
So-
know it's a high bar to set. I just was kind of curious if we were to compare the two. So Deadpool maybe half of that.
Yeah,
but
Deadpool's like
still.
the 10th highest grossing movie so far, and it's only been a week, so
Wow.
it's doing pretty fucking well.
Well,
of this year.
I mean, if you listen through the whole way of this and the spoilers, I would still recommend to go check it out. How would you compare it to the first movie? Would you say it's better? Would you say it's worse? Would you say it's the same? That's what
Interesting
everyone's
question.
comparing.
Yeah, it's what I was asking everybody when we got out of the theater. I actually like the second one better.
I like the second one a little bit better too.
Yes.
I did.
I think that the first one didn't really have it was still trying to find its voice in being a Deadpool movie, but was a really great representation of the Deadpool comics and was like so much of what everybody wanted who's a fan, and just seeing Ryan Reynolds finally in the costume in the red and black and out there making jokes was great. But I think it was a little bit sillier than I wanted it to be and not enough of the mix. And this one just was full on. They get what they're trying to do, they know what they're trying to be, and they're acting on that. And the whole thing felt really well put together. Again, lots of different dynamic storylines happening, lots of really cool characters introduced and a part of this universe, and it's its own thing. So I put Deadpool 2 ahead of Deadpool 1, but I like them both.
What was your biggest laugh of this movie? We didn't talk about like a lot of the super like funny jokes. There's a lot of jokes. Was there any one in particular that really got you going? I'll name one that I don't think you said was your funniest, but I know a lot of people thought was their favorite, was the whole sequence when he had his baby legs. The whole baby leg sequence, and then he does the Basic Instinct leg cross moment and all that.
Yeah, you see a baby dick in
and
this movie.
You see baby dick. You know?
That was strange. Well, now I would say that in the theater, that was when people were laughing the hardest.
Yeah.
It was like literally a moment where everybody stops what they're doing, even though you're all watching a movie, but it feels like the world stops and we're all laughing at how ridiculous this whole thing
Well, you're
is.
already engaged in that scene because they first show him with the baby legs, and everyone's like, he's going to do some dumb shit with the baby legs.
Yeah.
So everyone's like in it, and then they do that.
And they remember the first movie, The Baby Hand,
Baby
which was
Hand.
kind of one of the funniest moments of the first movie in terms of just like sitting there and laughing. I love that scene. I think we both said the funnier thing, they could have ended with the real big kicker of having him shit or piss like at the end, because
Uncontrollably like a baby on
he's
the
just
floor.
standing there with these baby legs, and his baby butt is sitting out there, and he's shaking Brolin's hand. I just wanted him to fucking take a dump on the floor, take a piss on Brolin, and be like, sorry, I can't control anything.
I can't remember what like the funniest moment. I think like that whole sequence of them all dying right away. I was just like,
I love
laughing.
that.
I thought that scene was just
Dude, I don't know.
hilarious.
I think it's really hard for me to just be like, this is the funniest
Yeah.
moment for me, because the whole movie really had me going. I was very surprised by how funny the kid was. I think he did an excellent job.
Mm-hmm.
That is not easy to be sharing the screen with all those
Yeah.
people and be as amazing as he did. I felt like one thing that I feel like it was improv and it was so funny was when he did the little like mime pulling off screen thing.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And
That was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was amazing.
So random.
Hard for me to give a favorite thing in the movie. I just think Domino is my favorite part. That's really easy for me to just kind of shut out there. And I really wish there was more Negasonic.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So many fun moments. There was another moment there, like when, like they're just one-offs that you may not think twice, but when he goes, "Bring it on, One-Eye Willie," to Josh Brolin, who's in Goonies.
Who's in Goonies?
So
yeah.
it's like, God.
Well, it's so referential and
Yeah.
just like tapping into the fourth wall, tapping into all this pop culture and all this relevancy of all the characters in the movie and the actors that are playing the characters and the idea behind the community knowing the characters. They even made a joke. A big thing that people were complaining about when Brolin was cast was that he's too short. Okay? And then Deadpool made a joke in the movie, and he was like, he talked about, he called and he was like, he's so short, he's 5'11", you know, like, and they made a whole crack at it. Like, it is just so self-aware, you know?
Which is what Deadpool is.
Exactly.
So, one last little fun factoid that I read about was there was one deleted extra scene at the very end that they felt went a little too far, so they cut it. Was that on one of the time travel moments, they had him time travel back and kill baby Hitler.
Whoa, because everybody mentioned it?
Yeah.
Because they mentioned it like 10 times in the movie. Like, why don't you just go back and kill Hitler? Why are you here?
Yeah. So there did do a scene apparently where he does go back and kill baby Hitler, but they decided to cut it
A little over the
because
top.
killing a baby
Killing a baby,
is
a
a
little
bit
over
too
the top.
much, even though it is baby Hitler or whatever. So I remember I saw an interview where the director, I think, was talking about that. I thought that was funny. All right, that's going to wrap things up for Deadpool. Love the movie. It was great. You should go check it out. Let's go ahead and segue into giving away these 5 boxes. Before
Yeah, if you're
we
new to the
forget.
stream, we're doing this now.
Shake the box. We're giving them away. We got
Put a monster in your mouth, all right?
We got 5 Deadpool 2 mutant super soda boxes to give away. These include 3 mutant sodas and a $30 Fandango voucher, I believe, to see Deadpool. You may be able to see other movies. I can't confirm that. But
If you got a silver tongue, you can do it. If you got a silver tongue, you can do it.
You got a silver tongue, you can do it. Fair enough. All right. Kevin is our master producer, and he's going to be working his way through the raffle or name picking here. And once he's comfortable with the setup and system, we can draw some names. But I hear him from here his aggravation with MooBot already to try to get it sorted out.
Sounds a little mess. I believe all you're going to have to do is just do !raffle into the chat.
Just don't type it yet until he's ready.
Dude, I don't know. Well, you're probably just going to want to spam it while he's doing it, but we can talk about some other stuff while we're waiting to figure it out.
Sure.
I guess, what are we looking towards next?
Okay, next, I know in the near future there's Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I think we have on the docket to check out. The Han Solo movie's coming out. But
are we going to do it?
I don't know, because we are going to be going to Chicago for Combo Breaker to check out that event the same weekend that the movie's being released, which is this weekend. I'm not a big Star Wars guy personally, so if you want to check it out as you get back, maybe we can get like you and Ken and some company together to go into it.
Like, there may be time. I wonder if on Sunday we squeeze in a little viewing. But then the problem is, then next week we have very few days in the office together to actually do the podcast. So maybe we're gonna be, and we're actually, I feel like we're supposed to be every other week, and we haven't done that. So then in 2 weeks, I feel like we should probably maybe do a throwback or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if you guys are interested in giving us suggestions for movies you want to watch, get in our Discord. It's Discord. Can you help me with this? I don't
Discord.gg/BTS. It's right there at the bottom of your screen.
Wow. Get in there. We're talking about it. It's fun. You know what's so annoying about the chat right now is I'm behind on Westworld, and we have a Westworld chat, and I want to be in there so bad.
I'm behind too.
But I'm behind.
I'm 2 episodes
so I
behind
can't.
right now.
Yeah, same. So maybe I guess we could talk about it, but not
2
anybody
episodes
else.
behind in Westworld. I'm an episode behind in My Hero Academia.
I would say though that overwhelmingly people in Discord down with Deadpool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Down with, I couldn't hear you. Did you say something? Oh, we already have raffles winners?
Okay. Kevin is raffling away our Deadpool 2 boxes. It sounds like he may have some selected winners here. Can you make sure you notate the name? Do you want us to read the name off?
I got it. So we have Compulsive 2011.
Compulsive 2011. Congratulations.
Princess Erica.
Princess Erica?
Princess Erica. Congratulations.
Aethers, Aythers.
Oh, no, Aethers. I see him out there. I've seen that guy in the chat.
Aethers,
He hangs
congratulations.
out.
We got AZ2K18.
AZ2K18. Arizona 2018.
And Startail Susie.
Startail Susie. All right,
I like that
awesome.
name, Startail Susie.
We're going to be reaching out to each of you for your information so we can send these boxes your way. I hope you're from...
Hope you're from the USA, guys.
USA.
We can only send this to the USA. So if you're not and you just won, sorry.
We'll get it sorted.
But we'll get it sorted and we'll figure it out. And what we'll probably end up doing, if not, some of them are not from the US, is giving away in our Discord. So be sure to get in there.
If we have leftovers or extras, because we may at the office, we're going to be doing the rest of the giveaways on the Discord.
Yeah,
so
shout out to
check it
Monster
there.
again. By the way, thanks so much for
Absolutely.
letting us
Aaron
go to the
and
premiere.
Monster, thank you
Aaron,
so
Mike,
much.
wow, so fucking cool to be able to go out there. So cool. We have like just they gave everybody in the office one of these, so I got to take one home, which is great.
Yep.
And that we got to actually have a cool giveaway on the show for people that are watching. That's sick too.
I appreciate it, Monster.
Thanks so much, Monster.
Big ups.
Oh, somebody is not from the USA. So do we want to do? Do you want to pull one more? I think we're gonna pull one more. I can't tell. Okay, so if you're in the chat now, !raffle, right? Nate, anybody over there can hear me?
Okay,
Oh, we got another winner.
New winner.
Estronoff.
Estronov.
He
Congratulations.
certainly sounds Russian.
Hope you're from the U.S. We'll hook you up with the Deadpool 2 box. For the winner who unfortunately was not from the U.S., I'm so sorry. Take your good luck and karma with you forward.
Take
I
it.
send you my positivity.
Oh, yeah, I
my
love this
energy, and my
shot.
love.
I love how they decided to have her peeking out of the car like that. It feels so fun. It's really cute. And it's another pop culture reference, but He's not from the States. Guys, if you're not from the States, please do not enter the raffle. You nerds. Okay, if you are not from the United States, here it is. I'm telling you now, do not enter because we can't give it to you.
I'm sorry.
So we're going to do it one more time. We're going to grab one more winner right now.
Winner, winner.
Exclamation point raffle. Kev's going to pull it out of the hat.
For your Deadpool $2.
Dude, why do we have an empty one here? I wanted to look at the
Plat Disco.
Plat Disco. Congratulations. You have earned your Deadpool 2. Put a monster in your mouth.
Put a monster again.
I don't know about the saying.
I'll say that is the part of Deadpool that I think everybody's afraid they're gonna go too deep into. Like put a monster in your mouth. The kind of like penis fart humor that it's just like.
Yeah, don't worry. There's none of that monster in your mouth stuff in the movie.
Yeah, that was the best part is that there wasn't.
Congratulations again to our winners. Thank you so much, everybody who stopped by to hang out with us on another Movie Buffed show. Today is Tuesday. I don't think we have any podcasts lined up for the rest of this week.
No.
We have ESL Birmingham is starting up. There is going to be no patch countdown this week because it's going to be happening during a major. So according to Ice Frog policy, that means that the following Monday, next Monday, there will be a patch. So I won't be here. Ken said he'll be here to hold down the fort.
Nice.
So likely our next podcast will be Monday's patch countdown show. We're going to try to find a way to creep in maybe a show priority to talk about ESL. But it's going to be a hectic weekend. We have Summit of Power coming right up around the corner. We're going to Chicago to check out the final qualifier set up there. And
if you're in Chicago at Combo Breaker, let us know. Come say hi to us.
Yep, I definitely want to meet as many people as I can. It's going to be hype, and it's just going to be an exciting time. Thank you so much for coming by and hanging out. We enjoyed Deadpool 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and we'll see you next time on more Movie Buff action. For the winners, we'll reach out to you soon. Bye now. Take care.
Bye.